Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey, welcome back to the Bible Bistro. This is Daily Dose Radio, your home for 5-minute Bible study. 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week, studying the Psalms verse by verse. Today we're looking at verses 15 through 18 in Psalm 83, the last 4 verses of the Psalm. So let me go ahead and read those for you. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Lord. Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Jehovah, art the Most High over all the earth. And you'll notice that 15 and 16 sort of continue the idea that we began in verse 13. Verse 13, we had these similitudes that he continued to give us, like a wheel, like stubble, like fire that burns the wood, like a flame that sets the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, make them afraid with thy storm, fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Lord. So you see, we continue this idea that God is going to be doing something, and the request here is persecute them, make them, fill them. All of that so that we end there in 16 with that they may seek thy name. So it's not so that they'll be destroyed. That's not the end result of this. It never is. You never ever pray for justice. You always pray for mercy. Pray for God to be merciful to the evil man. Pray for God to be merciful to you. Don't ask for justice. The man that asks for justice is not going to receive something that he thinks he's going to receive. The man that asks for justice, and that's all, is a man that's looking for trouble. Because if he only looks for justice in others, he's never going to find it for himself. We must look for mercy. We must be as the publican who went into the temple, beat upon his chest and said, "Be merciful to me, O God." And not only pray that for ourselves, but pray it for other men as well. Just because these people are the enemies of God does not mean that we shouldn't pray that God would lead them to the place, no matter what his tools are, no matter what his hand, however his hand works. We should always ask that God lead them to the place. We come to verse 16. Verse 16 says, that they may seek thy name, O Lord. This is always the end result for praying for others, that they may seek the name of the Lord. Verse 17 says, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou. Okay, so we end with, in 17 and 18, we culminate with the reason why we have this prayer. So 16, the reason why we pray for these men and against these men is not so that they will be destroyed. It is so that they will turn and seek the face of the Lord. But if they don't, then the prayer continues in 17, let them be destroyed, because they're going to be anyway. It's going to happen, because if you don't fear the Lord, you're going to run into trouble. They're going to come to the end of life, and you're going to be judged by him if you don't fear and humble yourself. Verse 18 then is the second piece, because in verse 18 we see the other side of the prayer. The first side is that men might come and seek you. The second side is that you, God, yourself be glorified in all things, that men may know that you, whose name alone is Jehovah, art the Most High over all the earth. This is the second and highest purpose of prayer. The first is that men may seek the face of the Lord. The second is that the Lord may be himself glorified. Prayer always centers around those two things. And even in this imprecatory prayer, which is against the evildoers, and we saw so much about that this week, here we come to the end and we understand that we have the two main goals of every prayer. I hope that you'll join me again next week as we look at Psalm 84 on Daily Dose Radio. Hey there, friends. Just wanted to remind you to go out and get yourself a copy of my new book, Christianity to the Life, by Cotton Mather, edited by me, David Smith. You can find it at Amazon. It's a paperback. It's also in Kindle form, so you can get it for your Kindle or you can get it for your library at home, however you'd like to have it. If you do, I really would appreciate if you would write a review after reading it. Let me know what you think. and it's a really good book. It'll encourage your Christian walk with the Lord. So go out and get Christianity to the Life today on Amazon. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. While on the internet, pick up a copy of my book, Small Does Not Mean Struggling, and Other Stories of Small Church Propaganda. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.